Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadidamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Have you ever considered what you are doing in the universe to ask for blessings? Today's episode is all about the concept of asking and how it relates to your manifestation. Namaste and welcome to the Spiritual Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Savitri Amba, director of the American Reiki Academy, Los Angeles' oldest Reiki school, and the Vedic Healing Center. I'm a Reiki master, Vedic healing master, clairaudient channel, and healer who has practiced and taught spiritual self-development and healing for more than 35 years, led pilgrimages to India, and studied with blessed Indian gurus. In this show, we cover topics related to metaphysics, Reiki, Vedic healing, manifestation, spiritual growth, and feng shui, based upon my studies and work. The aim of this show is to help you awaken, develop, and tap into your spiritual power in order that you may live well, manifest your dreams, and ultimately fulfill your unique divine destiny. By working from the inside out, it all begins with energy. So welcome to today's episode, and the episode is centered around the concept of asking and how that relates to your manifestation, to the fulfillment of your dreams. So I wanted to talk about this concept because for a few reasons. First of all, the phrase about asking that we all know so well from the Bible was one of Guruji's most favorite phrases. Now, he studied all different types of literature, and like myself, actually, he was versed in English literature as well as spiritual texts. So, although we might argue that much of literature is spiritual in nature, so, but that's another topic for discussion. But one of the favorite quotations he had from his many years of study of different religious texts and his interest in different spiritual backgrounds and philosophies was this quotation from the Bible that most of us know. Even if you were not raised Christian, you have probably heard it. And it is, "Ask and you shall receive, knock and the door shall be opened to you." And this phrase came to me very strongly this morning when I was meditating, because I was thinking about the concept of asking. Yesterday, I was thinking about this because I recently had a great blessing occur in my life, and it was as a result of asking. And what happened was, sometime back, I had a problem, and I was ruminating over it. And one day I was sitting in meditation, and I heard the word ask. Now, before I talk about this, I want to tell you about meditation. I want to just kind of digress a tiny bit. So in meditation, you are not necessarily asking for anything. You are sitting and absorbing energies. In fact, I had a teacher tell me, and this is kind of interesting, he said to me, your first early meditation, a part of your practice, your sadhana in the morning, should not involve any kind of requests to the divine wisdom. Isn't that interesting? You should just be being with the presence. So I always remembered that, because sometimes we come to our practice with requests, with prayers. And although there's nothing wrong with that, there must be a time of receptivity. And so, so one day I was sitting in meditation, and again, sitting in meditation is a time of receptivity. So it's, as I've said in other podcast episodes, everything is a yin and a yang, Shiva and Shakti, opening and closing, giving, receiving. So this time of sadhana is purely receptive for me. And I was sitting there and doing my practice, and I heard the word ask. Now, in Reiki and in my healing work, I've developed the ability to hear very proficiently, we could say, or very clearly, let's say. Not proficiently, clearly. We have different skills, different extrasensory perceptions, and for me, hearing is very prominent. So when I hear a message or I hear a word, I pay attention. Other people may see visions, and I also work with visions, but for me, the hearing is very dominant. Often you'll find that one clair sense is more dominant than another. And so hearing, whenever I hear anything, I pay attention. And we learn also in Reiki, I teach it in level 2, how to distinguish between your own voice and a message. So anyway, one day I was sitting in meditation, and I heard really clearly, ask. And I thought, ask what? Ask whom? Like, ask? I wasn't thinking about a problem of mine. Again, I wasn't coming with a request. I was just doing my practice. And I heard ask. And I just kept sitting there. And then I understood the connection between the problem I was having and this solution. I was being told, here's the solution, ask. And so I thought, oh, okay, ask. So I thought, okay, where should I ask for help? Usually I will ask the divine wisdom for help. And so I had previously asked over and over. I had put the request out there, let's say. But this was different. This was ask. This was different, it had a different quality. I knew that it wasn't just about interacting with the divine wisdom. So I finished my meditation, and I went about my day. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take that word with me, and I'm going to ask for help with this problem. And then it became very clear to me that I was asking, but not in the wrong places, but the one person I needed to ask for help with, I didn't want to help. I didn't want to ask, sorry. I did not want to ask. And sometimes this comes up where we know where help can come from, but we don't want to put ourselves out there or surrender the ego or whatever is coming up for us. So I thought, oh, I know whom I'm supposed to ask. And yet I did not ask. I kept suffering with the problem. I kept trying every which way not to ask this one person I knew. Not only did I know she could help, but I also knew that the ask was specifically about her. So I could waste a lot of time asking everyone else. And getting help, maybe, other people were helpful, but I had to ask this one person. So I started, and eventually I did. And she helped me in a way that was absolutely extraordinary, like beyond what I could have envisioned for myself. So yesterday, as I said, I started thinking about this concept of ask, and then this morning in meditation, I really started feeling I needed to speak about it here to you, the listener. And I'd like to suggest that, first of all, asking is a component of manifestation. Because when we're manifesting, we are working with a project or a dream or a vision, and then we are being receptive to that thing happening in our life. But before that can happen, we have to ask for it. We have to put forth in the world somewhere, this is what I would like. This is something that I feel I would really benefit from. And this asking is a way of surrendering. It's a way of opening up. Now, think about what happens when you ask. When you ask, something changes in you. First of all, you become vulnerable. You say, I have a problem. I need help. You face that. You face that you're having troubles and that you cannot fight it alone as much as you would like to try. And as you ask, there's going to be a space in between you asking and receiving. And that space is the space of the void, the unknown. What's going to happen here? Is my request going to be attended to? Is somebody going to listen to me? But the answer is yes, of course. There is always going to be a response. And the more you put yourself out there, the more of a response you will receive. So why, I'm going to give you a soft challenge. Why have you been holding back, asking for what you desire? Somewhere along the way, someone either silenced you and said, oh, no. Don't speak up for what you would like. And it's more than speaking up because, again, it's a revelation of vulnerability. So you may say, oh, I speak up for myself. I think I speak my truth and I'm confident with my voice. But asking is a whole other element. Asking conveys a level of vulnerability. I cannot do this. I'm stuck. I have a problem. I need to ask for help. And sometimes we move along and we're just like a bull and we are just pushing and pushing and pushing. Nothing wrong with the bull, but we are like just struggling and digging our heels in and not realizing there's an easier way, there's a softer way. And that is that every time we come up against a problem, to ask, where can the help come from? Now, it may come from you reading a book. It may come from you, again, asking a person. It may come from asking the divine wisdom. But there is always necessary an opening in order to receive. Now, what happens when you open to receive? Let's say you ask for something and you are given, as I was in my case, an extraordinary gift, more than you could have imagined, more help than you could have imagined. What happens is you become more full. And when you become more full, you also naturally cannot contain all of it. And so you give away. Like, as an example, if you're thinking about, let's say your closet is full of clothing and you say, I'm going to put out there that I need more clothing. So I'm going to, in essence, you're asking, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get more clothing. So now you're receiving the clothing, you're putting it in the closet, putting it in the closet, putting it in the closet. And eventually the closet gets to this state where it is so full, you must then release. Sometimes we hesitate to do this. We like to hold on. So but eventually that closet, if it became so full, it might collapse. There might be a bar in it that collapsed. There would be all sorts of ramifications of holding on to too much. So as a metaphor, think about where you are holding on in your life to too much clothing. And the clothing is your obstinance, your unwillingness to seek help. It might be your fears, your insecurities, yours, mine, we all have them. So where am I holding on and how can I let go? How can I open up space to receive? So when you receive, eventually there'll be so much you give away. As I said, you give away. You just cannot contain it all. When we think of people who are sometimes, not always, but people who are very, very, very wealthy, they get to a point where they share their wealth, their monetary wealth with others. There's a flow. There's always a flow. Now, ask yourself today, if you like, where am I not asking? Let's say you're trying to manifest. You're trying to manifest something specific in your life. And yesterday I did an episode on love. So we'll take that as an example. Where am I not asking for what I desire, which is true love? I desire true love. Where am I not asking for it? You might say, I've prayed and prayed and prayed for it, and it's not showing up. But I would venture to say there is some element of that you have not asked for. Now, this might get you a little bit angry or upset when I say this, because you may say again, I've prayed and prayed and prayed, and it still hasn't happened. So I would venture to say there is still work to be done. Perhaps you know someone who could help you, and you say, oh, I don't want to ask that person, like I was with the problem I was having. Perhaps you have not asked yourself, what do you need today? Perhaps you have not asked and listened for the response. You might ask, but then you must be available for the reply. Let's say you ask for true love and you're out in the world and you begin interacting with people, but there is a closed off energy you are carrying with you. And so this love cannot enter your space when you are contracted on some level. This is what I work with when I'm working with women, for instance, with the soul pattern clearing or with Reiki. We are opening up the areas in the energy field, in the body that have become guarded and contracted. So there is no way to receive if you do not ask, and there is no way to ask if you are holding on to upset, worry, fear, preconceived notions. We have to soften everything so that we can receive. When you receive, you are soft because you are in a state of being vulnerable and open, just open. If you can envision yourself sitting with your eyes closed, maybe, and I'm sitting at my desk right now. So you can put if you're sitting at a table, you could put your elbows on the desk and open the palms of your hands and look up at the sky. I'm sitting in front of a window and the sun is starting to come in. And allow the sun's light to illuminate you, to touch your third eye, to open your field for blessings. There are techniques in Vedic healing that we do to connect with greater light, with divine wisdom, source energy, so that we can become a fuller vessel to do what we have come here to do, to fulfill our purposes. But this is only possible if we open to receive and we ask. We ask. So in this state today of being aware of the concept of asking as you go about your day as a soft challenge, notice where you come up against a challenge and you fail to ask for help. And then ask. See what happens if you ask. Now, sometimes you'll ask people and they won't have the answer or they won't help you. And the trick is not to get shut down, not to stop asking. See, that phrase is Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened to you. I think in the beginning of the podcast, I actually left out the middle phrase, which is seek. It asks you to seek and you shall find. So first you ask, then you seek. You're still seeking the answers. You're asking, and you're seeking. You're not getting shut down by the first person who says no, or says, no, I can't help you, or I don't know anything about that, or who puts some negativity in your field. You're just committed to what you are doing. Think about it like this. I knew somebody who opened a business, and when she opened the business, she told me she had no money. This was, she said, a few years ago, and she was a single mother, and she went to bank after bank after bank after bank seeking a loan. And finally, a bank gave her a loan for this business she was starting. So what she was doing was she was asking, and then she was seeking, and finally she received. So it's actually 3 components: ask, seek, and receive. Create, sustain, destroy. We see these trinities occurring a lot throughout the spiritual teachings. In the Vedic teachings, we have this concept of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, creation, sustenance, destruction. So I'm thinking about this from this phrase from the Bible we're looking at today. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened to you. So if you stop your manifestation projects by failing to even ask, then you are really doing yourself a disservice. Think about that woman who went from bank to bank to bank to bank to bank. And so when you are going about your day today, notice where you could possibly receive help to a problem, and where you stop yourself from asking. It might be so simple as you're in the grocery store and you're looking for something. Let's say you're looking for bananas and there aren't any bananas out, and you could either walk away from the fruit section, or you could ask the person who's putting the peaches out, excuse me, where are the bananas? Very simple. This is kind of funny analogy. But notice how many times you just say, oh, I'll just let that be. I'll just walk away. But you came to the store to buy bananas. So without asking, you may not know that he has a whole box of them on his cart. And he says, oh, I haven't put them out yet. Here they are. So where in your life are you not? It's tied with speaking up for yourself, but not exactly the same. It's tied with self-confidence, but not exactly the same. It's all of that energy coming up through your body and being released through your vocal cords. So you don't have to even overanalyze why you aren't asking. Just allow this as a soft challenge today. Anytime you're up against something, ask and say, oh, what do I have to ask? Well, whom do I have to ask? Ask. There's somebody around you who can help you. And if not a person, then divine wisdom. Now, so sometimes we wait till the very end when we're desperate and we ask God or the universe. But what if you ask first, you put it out there first, and then you go about your day seeing where the answer might lie? So you may have to then ask another human being. See, we think it's enough to pray for what we desire, but we're here on the earth interacting with other beings. And sometimes we fail to see what the answer to our prayers is. It's been put sometimes right in front of us, but we fail to recognize it. It's like there's a joke, I don't know if you've heard this, where there's a flood, and the flood is happening in this village, and everybody is getting out of their homes, and there's one man who prays a lot, and he doesn't want to leave his home, but the water is rising all around him, and somebody comes in a boat and says, come on, I'll help you. And he says, no, I'm praying to God to save me. And so the guy in the boat goes off, and the water is rising, and the guy is going higher and higher in his house, and he gets to the second floor, and somebody else comes along and says, hey, I can help you. Come on, we need to leave. And he says, no, it's okay. I believe in God, and I am asking for help. And then the water is rising and rising and rising, and finally he's on top of his roof, and somebody comes along in another kind of vehicle, I don't remember, maybe a plane or something up high, and says, come on, I can help you, let's go. The water is going to destroy your house, and something, you could drown. And he says, it's okay, I have extreme faith in God. And the water soon envelops him, and he drowns. And then he goes to heaven, and he has an audience with God and says, what happened? I prayed and prayed and prayed to you, and you did not save me. And God says, what do you mean? I sent 3 individuals to you to help, and you turned them all away. So where in your life could you get help with a problem, an issue, and challenge yourself to ask? Ask. We always hear the phrase, the worst thing that could happen is someone could say no. And yet, we make that no be very, very scary. In fact, it's so scary that it blocks us from asking. If you're in the grocery store, perhaps asking the guy putting out the fruit where the bananas are is not such a scary thing to do. But when there's something more weighty in your life, it feels scary. Going to the bank for that woman and asking for loans as a single mother probably felt scary on some level. But I heard another businesswoman say, she had a successful business, and she was interviewed, and the interviewer asked her, "How did you become successful with this business? You had never done it before." And she said, "I never let fear stop me." So if you are not asking for something, I'm going to suggest there's some fear in your life. The fear of what? Of rejection, of just somebody saying no, of somebody putting you down, maybe. "Oh, what are you asking for that for? Oh, you can't have that." What is the fear about? These are the kinds of things we work on and we clear in, for instance, the soul pattern clearing that I do. And we just eliminate them so that there is the clear passage. The clear passage. You don't even allow these kinds of things to come up anymore. Or if they come up, you recognize them and bypass them. When we chant a mantra, the mantras work vibrationally to bypass, heal, and transcend any fears, insecurities, worries, doubts. What we're doing today is we're doing conscious healing work by speaking about this problem or putting attention on it, putting some awareness on it. There are many ways to create healing in the body, in the being. I did many kinds of dialoguing processes with my Reiki master to move through troubled areas in my life. And with Reiki, we do it through energetic vibration, transferring energy from the hands. So today, in wrapping up, I will just ask you to ask. I'm asking you to ask. I'm asking you to ask for things in your life you have not been willing to ask for. Sometimes people say, you can tell what you have been willing to ask for by just looking at what you have manifested. So perhaps the blockage is the inability to ask. I know when I say this and you have something really important in your life that you would like to manifest, that some upset comes up. Like if I said to you, the reason you don't have a relationship in your life, true love in your life, more abundance in your life, a career that fulfills you. If I say this to you and then I say, it's because you haven't been willing to ask for it, that may make you upset. But the upset is good. It is motivational. And it may be what is needed to spur you on. I know in my own life when someone has said to me, "Oh, you just haven't gotten that because you haven't asked the universe for it." And then I'll get upset and I'll think, what are they, crazy? I've asked and asked and asked and asked. But where am I not asking for help in the world? Where am I hiding? Because you can hide in your practice, and you can make your practice immense and beautiful, but you are still required to interact in the world. So where am I falling short in the world when I come out into the world and I say, okay, I've asked for this thing in my life. But now in the world, I need to also ask. I need to ask for help. I need to ask for advice. That's another thing. Not just help, advice. And not feel sad or ashamed that I don't know the answer. I used that word the other day in one of the episodes, ashamed. So that comes up a lot for people. Shame, blame, guilt. You blame yourself that you don't have this thing. You feel ashamed that you don't have this thing. And you feel guilty. You've done something wrong, and that's why you don't have this thing in your life. So in healing work, we give that up. Blame, shame, guilt. All of those things are dissolved. Because if you're holding on to blame, shame, or guilt, you are going to prevent yourself from manifestation of the dream, whatever it is you would like. So I could go on and on about this, but I'm going to stop here. I'm going to ask you to ask more, to notice how your asking is a very important key to you receiving. Ask for help, ask for advice, ask for wisdom, ask for referrals, just ask. Ask. Begin using your vocal cords to ask, oh, do you know anyone who could help me with blah, blah? Oh, do you know someone who is a good whatever? Just ask other people. Ask, and you will receive a lot of material back, and then you can filter it all and get moving, because the asking is going to negate the stagnation. If there's an area in your life you haven't created to the level that you would like, there is stagnation there. So our healing work is about removing stagnation. That's one of the things it's about. Dissolving stagnation. You can ask yourself also, since today is all about asking, where do I feel stuck? Where do I feel stagnant? Where do I feel blocked? Many ways of asking. You can ask the divine wisdom. You can ask yourself. You can ask others for things, for help. So use this one small word today to get things moving in your life. The word is ask. Every time there's a block, every time there's a problem, say to yourself, I need to ask. What do you need to ask? I don't know. It depends what the problem is. So you have the problem, ask. Ask for help, ask for advice, ask for wisdom, ask somebody around you, ask yourself, ask. Just keep asking. Just keep asking. It's that this concept of remaining open and keeping the energy flowing. This phrase from the Bible, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open to you. It's always a give and take, a yin and yang. We're keeping things flowing. We're not staying stuck. We are moving through life. We are dancing through life. That's why that element in, and this is the last thing I'll say, this element in the Vedic teachings about Lord Shiva, he is so still when he is in meditation, and then he is in incredible movement when he is in his dancing form of Nataraj. So he has the yin and the yang. You don't have one without the other. You're not just sitting all day. You are also in action. And sometimes you're in too much action, and that's when you sit still, calm down. And sometimes you are too much in quiet, and that's when you move outwards. We do our practice, but we also live in the world. Most of us, we are having houses and families, and we're bringing our work into the world. We're not sitting in meditation, at least not right now, and just being like on the top of a mountain. I've met yogis in India, and that is their path this lifetime, to just work on their spiritual presence through meditation, chanting, yoga. For most of us, that's not our path. So how can you be in this world, keep the energy moving, give and receive? I've said this before, that one of the best exercises you can do to receive is to give away clothing. It's a physical act. You're seeing the clothing leave your home. You're seeing the belongings leave your home. So you're opening up space. You're opening up space to receive. And you do that also through asking. Somewhere along the way, perhaps somebody has said to you, it could be in this lifetime, it could be in another lifetime, that you should not ask for that thing, that dream. And you have taken in to your energy field that notion and made it a decision, made it truth. So now we're going to create a new truth. We're going to dissolve that old truth and create a new truth for you. And in creating a new truth, you create a new reality. So the truth is, I am, you can use this I am statement, I am open, ready, willing, and worthy of having in my life, and then you can fill in the blank. I am open, willing, ready, and worthy of having in my life whatever you would like. In the beginning of these podcast episodes, I say that we work from the inside out, and it all begins with energy. So this is one of the ways of working with energy, through this dialoguing with your inner space. Starting to identify the blocks that may be there, and then energetically correcting them. And when I say correcting, it means simply choosing something else. So dissolving them. So I am ready, willing, open, and worthy of receiving into my life, or of having in my life, or whatever verb you would like to use. You can say creating in my life, and see during the day where you can ask more. Because as you ask more, you're going to help fulfill that statement you have put into the world. So before that woman went to the bank, she made the decision that she was worthy of receiving this money that she needed to create this business. She made a decision that this is what she wanted, and she was going to create it by boldly walking into every bank she could until she received a yes to her request. Because remember, that request, that desire in you is there because it is something that you are motivated to fulfill this lifetime. And remember, Guruji always used to say to me that everything is divine energy. So as long as we're using our, and I'm assuming you are, our desires for the good, we are right on track. As an exercise of well-being for you and your beautiful creations on this earth, ask as much as you can, ask everywhere you can, ask just to exercise that muscle, because again, that muscle may have been shut down. So our job as healing practitioners is to open up the spots, the spaces in our beings that have been silenced, squelched, shut down by ourselves or by experiences or by others, and start to blossom again. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Niravignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I hope this episode has been interesting to you. As always, feel free to reach out if I can help you on your path and in your life for manifesting those unique dreams that will help you fulfill your unique divine destiny. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om Sai Ram. Jai Guruji. Om Amriteshwariye Namaha. Hare Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.